Representing ATX, Austin, Texas, where they're known for dabbing Delta 8 on rooftops and trolling under bridges. This man is always on top of the bridge because he is hitting the high road. Coming to break us off with a little bit of that Texas smoked barbecue heat is my man, Stone Slade.
Thank you, Rico. I appreciate the nice intro, my friend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a news piece that has got people talking, scratching their heads, or just lighting up one in contemplation. A recent study at Columbia University is turning heads and perhaps lighting up different kinds of conversations. The study points out that cannabis users may have elevated levels of lead and cadmium in their blood. Yes, you heard me right. Heavy metals. Now, I've enjoyed cannabis since the early 80s, and the only heavy metals I found in my blood are from the metal bands of the 80s, like Ozzy Osbourne and Slayer. So let's break this down. The study took a look at over 7,200 adults and found that those who had used cannabis in the past 30 days had 27% higher levels of lead, 22% higher levels of cadmium in their blood. Tiffany Sanchez, one of the authors, had this to say: for both cadmium and lead, these metals are linked to stay in the body for years, long after exposure ends. Now, this is something to consider. Why? Because lead can mess with your blood pressure and your kidneys, and cadmium, well, that's a carcinogen. Not the kind of buzz we all hope for. Let's talk about now this jigsaw that is the U.S. cannabis regulation, or lack thereof. With no unified federal policy, there's little in the way of standardized safety checks. Jim Seberg, assistant director of the Drexel University Medical Cannabis Research Center, emphasizes that there's tons of illegal dispensaries popping up that aren't regulated, and they're not selling regulated, tested products. Now, some may think this could be a little bit of anti-cannabis propaganda. Maybe. After all, we all have been fed scare stories about the devil's lettuce for years. However, our colleague, Dr. Felicia Dawson, believes that there is some truth to these findings, because she pointed out to me that this study does a really good job of amplifying the different ways that heavy metals can get into cannabis, from chemical fertilizers to biosolids, which is human waste, conventionally raised livestock, fed these metals to protect them from parasites, and as well as heavily polluted soils around larger cities like New York, Chicago, and LA. So if there's even a kernel of truth out there, then it really just gives us more reason to push for federal legalization. Uniform rules could ensure that the cannabis people are consuming isn't going to turn them into the toxic avenger. Now, the reality is unregulated or illegal dispensaries are still rampant. There's no federal testing for hemp-derived products either. So you might walk into a dodgy dispensary in New York and think it's all kosher, but end up with something that's closer to Chernobyl soil than high-grade cannabis. So where does that leave us? Well, it's a buyer beware market, my friends. If you're going to enjoy cannabis, source it responsibly. Hopefully the guy that you know that knows a guy that gets your cannabis is clean, or if you're in a legal state, obviously find a reputable dispensary that knows what they're doing and fulfills your best needs. Let's ensure that the only metal involved in your cannabis experience is in your playlist, not your bloodstream. That was longer than it was supposed to be. I apologize for doing that. Guys. Until next one, light one up responsibly or not at all. I'm Stone reporting for the High News Hour.
Oh, man, Stone. That was very interactive right there.